Most people don't really know who they're dealing with until it's too late. We see what we want to see, we hear what we want to hear, we believe the mask, the performance, the charm, because it's comforting, because it protects us from disappointment. But beneath the polished exterior of any person lies the truth of who they are, and Carl Jung believed that if you pay attention, that truth is not hard to find. You don't need a betrayal to see someone's character. You don't need a dramatic ending, a broken promise, or a public failure to figure out who they are. You just need to watch carefully, because who someone really is always leaking through. In the little moments, the subtle slips, the unconscious patterns they think no one notices. In this video, you're going to learn about 5 things that reveal a person's true character. But right now, we begin with the first, to the ones that appear early, the ones that whisper the truth before it screams. Let's begin how they treat people they don't need. If you want to see someone's soul, don't look at how they act with those they want something from. Don't judge their kindness based on how they treat their boss, their romantic interest, or someone who can elevate their status. That's not kindness, that's calculation. True character is revealed in how someone treats the people they consider beneath them, the waitress, the janitor, the stranger walking their dog, the person who doesn't benefit them in any visible way. Carl Jung taught that what the ego tries to suppress, the shadow, always finds its way to the surface, and one of the ways it shows up is in superiority, that quiet, condescending tone, that impatient sigh, that split-second delay before acknowledging someone's presence. You've seen it before. Someone who greets you with enthusiasm until someone less important arrives. Then their whole energy shifts. They become dismissive, cold, short. Why? Because in their mind, the person is no longer useful. Their worth is measured not by their humanity, but by their utility. That's the sign. That's the moment you've seen who they really are. People with depth, real depth, don't shift their warmth depending on what you offer them. They extend grace, not because of who you are, but because of who they are, because they are rooted in values, not vanity, in integrity, not ego. There's something deeply telling in the way someone treats the invisible people in the room, because those people are only invisible to those who believe they matter more. Watch how they speak to the cashier, the tone they use with the delivery driver, whether they acknowledge the person cleaning the floor or pretend not to see them, and more importantly, how they treat those people when no one else is watching. That's not just behavior, that's identity, that's shadow, that's projection. That's the unconscious spilling out in real time, and it's often disguised as stress, sarcasm, or busyness. But don't be fooled. You're not seeing a bad day, you're seeing their default when there's nothing to gain, because the truest parts of a person show when they believe the interaction is beneath them, how they act when no one is watching. There's a famous saying, character is what you do when no one is looking, and it's one of the simplest truths with the deepest meaning, because in private, the mask comes off in solitude. There is no applause, no social reward, no consequence, only truth. How does someone act when the performance ends? Do they still hold the door when no one thanks them? Do they still recycle when no one is checking? Do they speak kindly about people who aren't in the room? Or do they only do what's right when there's an audience? Jung believed that our psyche is shaped not by the moments we curate, but by the impulses we don't, that in the absence of social approval, our core programming takes over. Think about this. Does the person who preaches honesty lie on their taxes? Does the one who promotes kindness snap at the person on the phone when no one is there to witness it? Do they live by the same values when it costs them something, or only when it's easy? If someone volunteers at a shelter but yells at their partner behind closed doors, what's real? If they donate money online but shame others in private, what are they actually built from? Real character isn't proven in public, it's proven in silence, in the decisions that don't have an audience, in the moments no one ever talks about. One of the most dangerous illusions in relationships, romantic, personal, even professional, is believing that public behavior is the whole story. It's not, it's the trailer, the highlight reel. The full story is how they live when the spotlight fades, and this is not just about morality, it's about congruence. Is the version they present to the world aligned with who they are in solitude? Or is it a mask they wear so well they've almost convinced themselves? This is where the ego plays its most dangerous game. It convinces us to curate, filter, edit, and shape an identity, not for authenticity, but for acceptance, and that identity, when left unchecked, becomes the very wall that separates a person from their soul, because the more time someone spends pretending, the less time they spend becoming, and eventually, The cracks start to show, the stories don't line up, the warmth feels rehearsed, the apologies don't sound sincere, the silence feels louder than the words. So if you want to know someone, really know someone, don't just watch what they post, watch what they protect, watch what they hide. Watch the spaces where there's no applause and no punishment. That's where the truth lives. That's where the self is either built or abandoned, because anyone can perform kindness, but real kindness isn't performed. It's lived, even in secret, especially in secret. Before we continue, if you feel deeply, but often struggle to understand why, there's a reason. The Jung method can help you decode your patterns and reconnect with your emotional truth. The link is in the first pinned comment. How they handle power over others. There's a moment in every human interaction when one person gains the upper hand. Maybe it's a title, maybe it's experience, maybe it's emotional leverage. And in that moment, the real self steps forward. The way someone holds power, whether it's in a job, a relationship, a family dynamic, or a simple conversation, reveals something profound. Do they become gentle and protective, or do they become controlling, superior, entitled? Carl Jung believed that the shadow is most visible when someone feels safe enough to stop pretending, and one of the safest feelings in the world is being in control. Because when someone has power, they believe they won't be challenged. That's when they stop performing. That's when they show you who they are. Think about someone who leads a team. Do they uplift the people around them or take credit for their efforts? Do they listen or dominate? Do they use fear to control or presence to guide? Now think about someone in a relationship who feels emotionally superior. Maybe they're more confident, more attractive, or more emotionally secure. Do they protect their partner's vulnerability or exploit it? Do they help them grow or keep them small? The person who enjoys power for the sake of control is not strong. They're afraid. And what they fear most is the collapse of the identity they've built around dominance. Healthy power is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to manipulate. It holds space. It takes responsibility. It uses influence to elevate others, not to enslave them. Watch how someone behaves when the balance shifts, when they win, when they're admired, when others are depending on them. If their ego inflates, if they belittle or ignore, if they start making others feel small to feel bigger, you've seen the truth. Because power doesn't corrupt, it reveals their reaction to someone else's success. Envy is natural. It visits all of us, but what a person does with it is what defines them. When someone close to them succeeds, what happens in their body? Do they light up with genuine joy or freeze with invisible tension? Do they cheer from the heart or offer a polite smile while something inside collapses? This moment matters because it tells you whether their support was real or performative, whether their love was rooted in trust or in quiet competition. Carl Jung often wrote about projection, and envy is a projection of one's own unlived life. When someone is deeply unfulfilled, the success of others feels like a mirror. It reflects everything they have not pursued, everything they fear they can never become. If you share good news with someone and their energy shifts, if their compliments feel forced, if they change the subject quickly or start talking about themselves, if they minimize your achievement or turn it into something less, you've seen it. They are not in pain because of what you gained. They are in pain because of what they lost long ago, the dream they buried, the belief they abandoned, the power they gave away. Secure person celebrates even when they're struggling, even when they want what you have, even when it's hard, because love does not see others as a threat. It sees them as proof that something is possible, that the light exists, that the dream is alive. So if you want to see someone's true character, tell them your wins, tell them your joy, tell them what you're proud of, and watch their face. If their eyes shine with yours, you are safe. If their light dims your glow, take note, not to punish, not to retaliate, but to understand, to know what love really looks like and what it doesn't bear. Not everyone in your circle is in your corner, and not everyone who claps is clapping for you. How they respond to being told no. This is the test that almost no one passes with grace, because rejection is more than a denial. It's a mirror. It reflects back the part of us that wants to be chosen, validated, accepted at all costs. And when someone hears no, when they feel blocked or limited or refused, that's when their emotional maturity is exposed. Do they accept it, or do they punish you for it? Do they listen, or do they try to twist your words? Do they respect your boundaries, or do they try to guilt you into bending them? Carl Jung understood that the ego sees rejection not as information but as danger. The ego interprets no as disrespect, as abandonment, as a threat to control soul. The wounded ego lashes out, it sulks, it manipulates, it disappears. To make you feel guilty, it blames you for having limits, and in relationships, this becomes especially clear. When you say no to physical intimacy, to emotional labor, to tolerating behavior that hurts you, does the other person lean in with understanding or pull away with resentment? People who cannot handle rejection are people who cannot love fully, because love is full of boundaries, and love that cannot withstand the word no is not love, it's possession. When someone truly sees you, when they care about your autonomy, when they are present and grounded, they will not crumble when you say no. They will stay, they will listen, they will soften, because they understand that no is part of trust. It is not a wall, it is a bridge. Watch how someone reacts when you don't give them what they want, when you disappoint them, when you choose yourself. Do they attack? Do they collapse? Do they turn the story against you? Or do they meet you in that moment with dignity? Because this is when the mask drops, when entitlement is no longer fed, when the mirror stops reflecting their fantasy, and the real self emerges. The person who respects your no is the one who can be trusted with your yes. That is character. Not what someone does for you, but how they respond when you stop doing for them. Reflexivo e profundo. These 5 signs are not loud, they are not always obvious, they are subtle patterns, little shifts, quick reactions, moments most people miss, but you won't miss them anymore, because now you know that character is not something someone tells you about, it's something they reveal through behavior, through energy, through presence. Carl Jung said that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light. We become enlightened by making the darkness conscious, and that applies not only to ourselves but to the people around us. When you learn to see clearly, you protect yourself, you stop repeating patterns, you stop falling for charm, and start listening to the soul beneath the performance. And in that clarity, you finally make room for what is true, what is safe, what is aligned, and what is worthy of your energy. Now, you don't have to ask who someone is, you'll feel it, you'll see it, and you'll know. Always pay attention. Because the soul speaks quietly, but it never lies.